Hi there, and thanks so much for joining us for My Week. I'm Christy McDonald. Tonight, a possible deal to help settle Detroit's bankruptcy and a reminder that if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Oakland County Exec Brooks Patterson, who has made a career of saying outlandish things at times, is facing backlash from what he told the New Yorker magazine about Detroit. The debate over an apology coming up. Plus, Republican National Committeeman Dave Agema, who has made a string of inflammatory comments about gays and Muslims, is ducking the RNC meeting in Washington this week amid calls for his resignation. But first tonight, the news that a deal is developing to help pensioners as well as protect Detroit-owned art at the DIA. We first heard about the governor's proposal for state funds to closely match what foundations were contributing last week. But on Wednesday, the governor made it official. He's proposing $350 million over 20 years. That money could come from tobacco settlement funds that Michigan gets. There are some strings attached to this plan that the governor thinks will help resolve the bankruptcy case and protect art at the DIA, as well as help retirees. There would have to be changes in the way that pension funds are managed, and the plan would still have to be approved in bankruptcy court. So far, this is just a proposal.
This is a settlement. This is not a bailout. And I want to be very, very clear about that. This is not a bailout of paying the debts directly of the city of Detroit. This is not a bailout of dollars for Detroit's debts. This is not a bailout of banks and other creditors. This is focused in on helping reduce and mitigate the impact on retirees. It's focused on protecting assets. It's focused on showing good results and allowing the city to move forward by hopefully resolving this case in a more positive rather than a more negative way, faster and better. That could have dramatic savings both in terms of dollars and time. Because this is really about settling it so we can grow the city of Detroit.
All right, let the questions begin. How does this $350 million make a difference? Can you get the state legislators to approve this, even with Republican leadership standing at the front of the room in support? We'll get started with our MiWeek contributors right on this topic. Nolan Finley of the Detroit News, Stephen Henderson of the Detroit Free Press. Gentlemen, it's always good to see you.
Good to be Absolutely.
All right, so let's start off with the first question. When we hear about Detroit's debt and we hear that $18 billion figure and we hear $350 million from the state, tell us how that all makes sense and what kind of difference over 20 years $350 million is going to make. Nolan.
Well, make a huge difference if it can be the final piece in closing this deal. The foundation's raised $330 million. They're asking $100 million from the DIA and additional fundraising. The retirees are going to take a much smaller hit than they took, but they're still going to contribute to this settlement. With the state coming in with this significant a number, I think it seals the deal. And if it heads off future lawsuits, it could get this bankruptcy done fairly quickly.
Okay, it could seal this deal, but there's so many dangling things about this. And one of those moving parts is the DIA and $100 million that they would have to raise. And they've said that that would be very hard for them to do.
It's undoable.
Well, $100 million is a lot for them. I mean, they don't have it. So they'd have to get a donor to come up with that money. I think in the end they will come up with a contribution to this deal. It won't be $100 million. Maybe $25–30 million is more in the realm of what they could raise from somebody. I mean, everyone thinks the museum's just sitting on money, and that's just not true. They can't use their endowment for this. That would violate the terms of many different agreements.
Yeah, Steve, but that's been the problem with the DIA from the beginning. They can't do anything but sit there and say, well, you know, we can't be part of the solution.
Well, no, they are being part of the solution. They're saying they don't have $100 million.
Well, they don't have $100 million, but they're going to have to get it. I don't think they're going to get away with $25–30 million. The governor was pretty clear when he talked to us. The foundations have been pretty adamant, and I don't think they can afford to alienate the foundations whom they depend on.
Well, where would you get $100 million out of that museum?
Fundraising. I would reinstate the admission fee. I think people would understand.
Which violates the terms of the millage.
Of what everyone voted on last year.
That was a verbal promise that's not written into the millage. That is not
it is written into the millage agreement.
That was a verbal promise. It's not written in any way into
But Nolan, don't you think you would undo a lot of public goodwill and people who would want to donate to the museum if you all of a sudden went back on that?
I think people would understand that these are very trying times. Look at the zoo. The zoo's got both a regional tax and an admission fee.
And if you think
the museum, a visit to the museum has value, I think people would pay.
If you think you'd raise $100 million off admission fees, you're mistaken. I mean,
you need $5 million a year.
Yeah.
Reinstating the admission fee could raise half of that, or perhaps a little less.
You'd be close.
So then you have to go out and touch the foundation,
I think
touch donors.
All right,
I
Stephen,
guess
go.
what I'm pushing back against is the idea that the museum is saying that they're out. They're not. They've been saying from the beginning that they're in, that they're willing to do what they can. What they have said steadfastly is that they can't sell art, and that's true. They can't sell art because that violates all of the covenants that museums have. It destroys the museum, and that's what this deal avoids.
They can't sell art. They can't lease art. They can't raise money.
Okay, well then
they can't.
They can raise money.
Hang on, let me ask you this
is
then.
an independent organization.
If part of this deal depends on them raising $100 million and they say they can't do it, so should we even be still talking about this deal, or is this an integral part that?
I don't know that number is the number.
It's going to be a final. It's going to be a final number.
My point is, they will contribute to this deal. They're working on a way to do that. I mean, you know, one of the things that's a little annoying about this is the museum is not at fault here. The museum is an independent organization that takes no public money at all, other than these millages that they've asked to build up an endowment so that they can be completely independent. Coming after them because Detroit, misspent its money and mishandled the pension funds, I think is the wrong attitude.
All right, it's a Detroit asset.
Let's look at this deal.
The pensioners aren't at fault either.
The pensioners aren't at fault either. That's right.
The people who are at fault in this thing are long gone, sitting either in graves or.
Yeah, but I think we're beyond. I think we're beyond blaming people. I think we're beyond saying whose fault it is. So let's look at this. Let's step back and look at the entire deal, and let's say that the DIA can come up with $100 million or even $50 million. You still have to sell this to the legislators in Michigan. You still have to sell this statewide. And it was interesting watching that press conference yesterday, and the governor and what we just rolled here for you said, this is a settlement, this is not a bailout. Are those very important words, Nolan?
Well, they're just words. I mean, it's a bailout, for God's sakes, and it's a necessary.
Oh, wait, so you don't buy the fact that this is, the governor says it's a settlement?
Well, it's a bailout. I mean, it's a bailout. They're giving Detroit money from the state treasury to resolve its problems. That's a bailout, and it's a necessary one. And it's good for the entire state if it gets this bankruptcy settled, and if it gets the state off the hook for any future liability for these pensions. Because remember, that matter hasn't been settled. Those pensions could end up costing the state a lot of money. So if they can get the unions to agree, and if they can get the other creditors to agree, I think it's a good deal for the state. And anytime the governor has had both Bolger and Richardville with him, he's managed to get what he wants. I think they'll get it through the Republican caucus and get this thing passed if the pensioners agree to it.
In an election year, how difficult do you think this is going to be?
I think it's a little bit difficult, but I think Nolan's right. It's key that Bolger and Richardville were both there, and so that that certainly implies that he's got leadership on board, and that matters. When it comes time to count votes, I think this will be a tough sell for some legislators outstate to say, we're sending this kind of money to Detroit, which is not, anybody's favorite charity case. But in the end, what choice do you have? This would make the museum a statewide asset, which is not a bad thing either. So people are getting some sort of benefit back from it. My bigger concern, I think, is what message this sends about underfunded pensions. Detroit is far from the only city that has that problem. In fact, most cities in the state have some sort of unfunded legacy costs, either pensions or health care. If I were any of those cities, I'd be at the governor's door saying, where's our help? What's your solution to try to get us out of this trouble so that we don't end up in bankruptcy court like Detroit?
So is this a dangerous prospect now that he's kind of opened the door for state help for any other municipalities?
Frankly, I hope he has, because I think this is a problem that state government's going to have to wrestle with at some point, one way or another. We can't allow cities and school districts to make the kind of promises that they've made going forward on pensions and health care and not fund them. That's got to be dealt with, and then the legacy costs now that are hanging over everybody's head have got to be refinanced some way. You have cities that can't afford to meet these obligations.
Yeah, and that is true. This problem's not going to go away. It's going to continue to escalate. What the governor, what the legislature need to do now is freeze all public pensions in the state and start making the people who are owed money whole, and making sure we don't rack up obligations we can't pay in the future.
All right, so what's the timeline for this plan, going back to Detroit's plan?
Well, I mean, you got to get it through the legislature.
But how fast is that going to be? We've seen them move fast when they want to, but we've seen them drag their feet when they want
Well,
to.
it'll be a part of the budget address
Yeah.
next week, and it'll be part of the budget settlement, I would assume, when they usually do that. Now they've been doing that in May and June.
Yeah.
I assume he'll get for the purposes of the court, they'll get some sort of assurance or commitment that they can get this thing passed, because I'm not sure the bankruptcy court can wait until the budget is actually passed before they act.
No, they can't.
And also the goal of trying to get out of bankruptcy in 1 year.
Yeah.
Is that possibility still out there
Oh,
with
I think
this
so.
deal?
I think we're moving much faster. You look at what happened in these California cities that were in bankruptcy. You look at what's going on in Birmingham, Alabama, where they're in the county there is in bankruptcy. The comparison in terms of speed is mind blowing. I mean, we are eons ahead of where they were at this point in either of those cases. So I think, I mean, if we can get stuff like this settled up front, it makes everything else a lot easier. And so a year, maybe less, becomes a much more realistic time frame.
Once the creditors see, the other creditors see that there's nothing left to grab. I mean, if you take the DIA off the table with this deal, what's left to grab? I mean, they're not going to keep fighting a futile fight. They're going to have to settle.
I mean, one of the interesting things about this deal too is how much it could help the pensioners. It's not $3.5 billion, but it's structured over a long time, 20 years. If you can get enough of that money up front and do something smart with it, it might grow to fill most of that hole over the next 30 years. And so this idea that the pensioners still might take a hit, I think, could end up being addressed when you take a look at how much cash is going to come in immediately and,
But the governor
what
was
you could
pretty
do with
clear
it.
that it probably wouldn't, and he didn't want to mislead.
Well, you can't promise that it would.
That
That there was still going to be some kind of
there's going to be some
kind of
sacrifice
hit.
on that part, but not near what it was.
Yeah.
Do you agree that there needed to be some kind of parameters on how the funds are now managed with the infusion of this money?
Yeah, you can't pour state money in and have them continue to be mismanaged, have people continue, as we saw during the Kirkpatrick administration, to take money out for corrupt purposes. They've got to be better managed. They've got to be fiscally responsible.
But people are still disputing the shortfall, though.
Well, they're disputing. That's a very silly conversation. I mean, one of the easiest answers to that is if there is no shortfall, then why are we negotiating with the pension funds in bankruptcy court? If the city doesn't owe them anything, fine, go off and manage your money the way that you can and make your obligations as best you can. I think the better question is whether you can treat the police and fire fund the same as you treat the general retirement fund. The police and fire fund is much better funded than the other one, and it doesn't quite meet the requirements under the law for the emergency manager to be able to just wipe it out. So what's the legal context in which you can say I'm getting rid of that board as well as the general retirement? I mean, it's a technical question, but it could end up hanging us up for
and
a
these
while.
funds have to, I mean, they have to make some really hard decisions here. Do they roll the dice and take a chance that they can prevail in court, that their pensions are untouchable, or do they take this deal for fear of getting dinged a whole lot
No,
worse?
you take the deal. I don't think there's any question you take this deal.
I don't know.
All right, well, we'll watch it unfold now in the next couple of weeks.